You guys, I finally snapped and decided to throw out pretty much all of my clothes and a huge portion of my kids' clothes as well. I just could not take the clutter anymore. I could not take clothes like falling on me from places, and I couldn't take not being able to find just the basic pieces of clothing that I wanted. And in fact, all my clothes kind of sucked. So I ended up just buying new clothes, and then I realized that they were the only clothes that I was wearing. So I threw out even more clothes. So that's what we're doing today, you guys. We are tossing a whole bunch of clothes out. So, and here we are. We're opening some boxes and we're trying on some new clothes. And we're also doing some cleaning of the bedroom area and the hallway. So here we go. Here is the bedroom that I share with me and my little girl sleeping here. I am making a new bedroom just for the little kids, and that's coming up in a video pretty soon. But yeah, there's also, so I've got my youngest son's clothes in here, I've got my daughter's clothes in here, and I've got my clothes in here. Not all of my clothes, but a lot of my clothes. So as you can imagine, that is a lot of people's clothing in a fairly small space. And I just was not working anymore, as I was saying. But before we get into that, and before we get into really why I decided to do this and why I thought it was so important, let me introduce myself. If you are old school, if you've been to this channel before, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. It is nice to finally make your acquaintance. My name's Amy, and I live here in the Tasmanian countryside with my 3 kids. My eldest son, Johnny, he is nearly 14. My middle son, Ren, who you can see right there in the Spider-Man shirt, he is 4. And then my youngest, Harriet, she is only 2 years old. I've also got 2 crazy cats that live with me, and basically I'm trying to declutter my life. I'm a hoarder. Like, I'm a hoarder at heart, and I know it's not great to be a hoarder. It leads to a lot of problems, and like I don't like clutter in my space, really. Sometimes I kind of do. Most of the time I don't. I sort of have these problems with like ADHD and organization, and I get anxious and stuff, and having lots of things around just does not help that at all. But at the same time, having those problems tends to also help you create the mess. So it's kind of like part of you really needs like order and structure, but the other part is like, no, you're going to create mess. So right now I'm doing my son's clothes, and there was a lot of clothes that he'd either grown out of or honestly that he just doesn't wear. Like I find that we kind of just automatically go towards certain pieces of clothing and we sort of wear them again and again and again. And other pieces of clothing we just like either don't wear or hardly ever wear. And I'm one of those people who's like, oh, but what if one day we need this for something, or maybe I can make something out of it. Or maybe this will be good for like, to do some craft. Like we'll cut this clothing up and do some craft out of it. Like I'm one of those people who kind of is always like, what if we need this for something? What if like the world comes to an end and I need an extra pair of pants? Like it probably doesn't seem that logical to people, but I don't know, that's just how my mind works. I've got this whole theory that because my parents grew up in the UK like just after the war, that there was kind of this that there was still this like concept of scarcity from their parents and of like keeping things and needing to hold on to things. But now it's like the opposite in our lives. We've got probably too many things, and there's so much, quick buying and fast fashion and all those sorts of things, and little bits and bobs that you get from Woolworths or McDonald's. Woolworths, by the way, if you don't know, is a grocery store here in Australia. We've got 2 major ones, Coles and Woolworths. And I'll tell you right now, guys, that the cost of living here in Australia is insane. And part of it is just like grocery stores don't have a whole lot of competition here. So you know what? If you are an American who owns a grocery store chain, please open one here. We do have Costco, and we've got this European place called Aldi. Or even if you're like, European and you want to open a I'm just trying to remember from my days in Finland, Lidl? Yeah, that was one. The UK, Sainsbury's and Waitrose. Do I remember that right? But yeah, we like an example. So how much it costs me to feed myself and my 3 kids. And yes, like I've got some issues, so I can't, like most of us kind of have got some issues with gluten, so we try to avoid the gluten. But at the moment, I'd say it's costing about $800 a week. Maybe not always that much. Maybe some weeks it's like $500, but some weeks it is $800 a week for us and the cats. And we're not like, you know, buying caviar or like some special fish from the Maldives. We're just buying like normal stuff. So yeah, it costs a lot here at the moment. And, you know, I'm always trying to get sales and that sort of thing. So it is really tough. It is really tough. And I honestly don't know how people are kind of doing it. And, you know, like we're always going about, you know, the government's always like, oh, people need to be healthier and eat right. And it's like, yeah, but if you're charging like $6 for $6 or $7 for like a little bag of salad, and you can go to McDonald's and get like a hamburger for $1, you know, what's going to offer more calories? You know, it's not always, you know, there's those practical things. So here we go. So I ordered a bunch of clothes. I've really gotten into Uniqlo, which is a store, I think it's a Japanese, I believe it's a Japanese store. And I just love them. Like they've just got so many sort of basic pieces that are really, really nicely made, that are, you know, not insanely expensive, that are a decent price, like maybe, you know, a little bit more expensive than Kmart, but not much. Yeah, and they're just like, everything kind of goes together. Everything, you know, every kind of piece, you know, you can mix and match. I decided these pants are a little bit too tight around my butt. I've got a really big butt, if I'm to be honest, and sort of big thighs and stuff. So yeah, sometimes clothes just don't work for me. They just don't. It's weird. Like I feel like I should still be buying mediums, but it looks like I apparently I need to be buying larges and extra larges when I try things on. But you know, that's what happens when you have 3 kids and you're middle-aged and your metabolism starts to slow down. So anyway, right now I am sort of just creating in a little area in my living room, packing away some blocks and getting ready to declutter a bunch of clothes of mine. And yep, don't you worry guys, everything that I can, I'm sending to secondhand stores. So how did I get in this mess of like an insane amount of clothes? Well, as I said before, I'm a hoarder. It's super hard for me to throw things away. I'm getting better at it. I have a lot of people who know that I like to hoard things, and so they give me their secondhand stuff, which is awesome, and I love getting it. I never say no because I'm like, oh, what treasures can I find? And honestly, like there's a lot of pieces that I wouldn't have bought for myself that I wear that were given to me, and I love them. But, you know, I end up with a lot of stuff that I don't wear that, you know, just sits in the closet. But, you know, as much as I want to blame other people, it is me. It is me just wanting to hold on to things. Why do I want to hold on to things? Well, as I said, I think it's maybe comes from, I don't know, this weird like generational thing. I'm sure there's some like serious existential reason as to why I want to hold on to stuff. But the reason why I decided to get rid of stuff wasn't just because I was worried that I was going to get trapped under a pile of clothes and people would never find me. It was also because recently my kids' grandfather, their dad's father, passed away, which was really sad. I absolutely love him. He is just the best thing since sliced bread. And sadly, he's no longer with us. And it happened very quickly and very unexpectedly. One of the things that I was oddly grateful that he did was that he didn't have a ton of stuff, and anything that he had was pretty, like, it was high quality. Like, he had good taste. It was, anything that he had was, you know, nice. It wasn't cheap and cruddy. Which, if you've ever gone through the death of a loved one and having to sort through their things, you will know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, I hope this doesn't sound like cold or, I don't know, uncaring. But it was one of those things that, you know, his organization, everything, we were grateful for, because, you know, his kids-in-law are all really busy. And if he was like a hoarder with just like tons and tons of stuff to go through, it would have been impossible. Like, I don't know what I would have done. But luckily, it wasn't that situation. Yes, there was still like a lot of, like, I did a video on it. If I remember, I'll link it here. of sort of going through his stuff and putting things away, and we're still going through that process. But if he had been like a hoarder, you know, it would have been, or not even a hoarder, but just a normal person, like who wasn't like super neat and kind of minimalist and like nice things, it would have been really hard. It would have been tough. It would not have been a nice experience. And it definitely would have made the grieving process harder. And it really kind of got me thinking, like, I know this is really morbid and I feel like I've spoken about this before, but if I suddenly passed away, or even when I do, you know, I am like at an age where she lived a good life kind of age, I don't want my kids to have to deal with loads of my stuff. Like, it's just, I don't want them to have to deal with it, and they don't want to have to deal with it. And so then I'm like, what is the point of having so much stuff? Like, it just, who am I going to give it to? Like, no one's going to want my old stuff. You know, it's not helpful to anyone. Oh, man. Oh my God, I thought I ran out of battery. I didn't. God, I'm like, I've just been talking to myself for 5 minutes. No, we good. Yeah, so that was one of the big reasons why I just went, I can do this. I can get rid of this stuff. I need to make it a priority, because life kind of goes by quick. And I think it's really easy, even though you think like, oh no, I got heaps of time to sort all this out. You know, 20, 30 years goes by real quick. And I just wanted to kind of get into the habit of getting rid of stuff now. And it felt really good. I'll be honest. It felt really good to get rid of this stuff. And it's felt really nice. Like, I've just been able to go into my bedroom, and now I've actually got, before I used to just keep all the clothes I was wearing in this big basket, and I did still have the basket because it's handy for like pajamas and whatever, if I'm just changing, you know, and I'm going to wear something the next day. But like, now I can just open a drawer and everything is there, and it's not that much stuff, and I don't need that much stuff. And I think it really did help buying some new clothes, because I feel like I was still dressing like I was like I was still buying clothes like I was 16, and not even a very fashionable 16-year-old. So that really helped, and that really made me want to like take care of these clothes, because I'll be able to wear these clothes for many years, because my style probably isn't going to change that much between now and the time I'm like, I don't know, 60. So good on you, Uniqlo. There's a lot of stuff that I tried on that I sent back, and the returns were absolutely no problem at all. And they are not sponsoring this video, but if you do want to sponsor this video, Uniqlo, please reach out. Yeah, but I returned stuff, no problem, and had to switch up some sizes. Some stuff I didn't like, but most stuff I really did like. It's just all like, I don't know. I'm very sensitive to like the feels of material and things like that. So the pants that I'm wearing right now, they're new. They're from Uniqlo, and they are so freaking comfortable. Like, I really hate wearing jeans. I can't wear jeans. I do not like the feel of them. So it's hard for me to find sort of like long pants that aren't just track pants. But these are like some like heat tech technology. They're really soft, and the waist is stretchy, and they're just great. They're so comfy. And they look nice, I think. So right now I'm just going through my daughter's things, and there was a lot of things in there that honestly she had grown out of, and I just didn't want to admit it. And luckily, my cousin has just had a beautiful little baby girl. And so there's some things that really haven't even been worn, and some really nice things. So I'm going to box them up and send them off to them. They're all kind of slightly, bar like one thing, they're all slightly older clothes, which I like giving to people with babies, because they're like, you know, they get them and they're like, what am I going to do with these? But the kids grow so fast, and you know, when you first start buying baby clothes, it's so exciting, but then after a while you're like, this is expensive and time consuming. And then, you know, you look over and there's just like a jacket or a dress or whatever there. And yeah, it feels good. It's helpful. And there was some things, and I heard this once and it sort of always stuck with me. I don't know where it was from. I feel like maybe it was like Marie Kondo or something, that said, you know, if you'll never have a decluttered place if you're not willing to get rid of things that still fit, or that you could still wear. I thought that was really interesting. But man, I mean, how weird is the world? Like, you know, in other parts of the world, people are desperate for clothes. Like, they're dying because they don't have warm clothes. And here, I'm just like, you know, I got too much stuff. It's not right. Anyway, I don't like to get political or anything, but I had to bring that up. But while we're on the topic, it's just so interesting, like the human race and just like our need to constantly acquire things. It's like, let's go to work and make money to buy stuff and to have new things. Like it, and then it's like, what's the point of that? Like, does it make you happy? I don't know. Maybe having a new like electric car right now would make me happy. But I don't know. Like you sort of get to a point in life where acquiring stuff just doesn't feel like it's the goal anymore. I don't know, maybe I am getting there. There's things I want to, now I feel like there's things that I want to do. I do probably need a bigger like mom car. That's something I would like. But I don't know, I just don't really feel like I need more stuff. I just want to have experiences and take my kids places and go on holiday and have the world be a safe and happy place. And I don't want a lot of stuff in my house. Like, I mean, that's, you got to kind of be reasonable though. Like at some point, you got to accept that you have children and they're going to make a mess and there's going to be a lot of toys around the place. And that's just life.
Small city thinking, I get why you left. Small-minded people sure know how to trick. I came to the party, I laughed at the jokes you made. I wish that I hadn't, 'cause now the joke's on me. I didn't come here just so I could watch you make a mess. I didn't come here to ugly cry in my favorite dress. So what the hell were you thinking then when you kissed your lips? Now I'm kinda glad you did, 'cause now you adore me, adore me. Go ahead now, adore me, adore me.
For me, like it's so important that if you are in this situation where you do have a lot of clothes or a lot of things and you're feeling like just bad about yourself, please don't. Like that's not the purpose of this video at all. Like I don't want you to leave this video being like, oh my God, I have so much stuff. It's such a huge amount of things to deal with and I got it all now and I'm about, but don't go down that road. Just first of all, just so you know, this video didn't take me like a day to shoot. I did this over months. So sometimes I'll like film things that I'm doing because I've got 3 kids, like it's craziness. So I'll just do like a little bit of something and film it, a little bit of something, film it, and put stuff together. Like, yeah, I did have a couple of days of just like these parts of the video where it's just, I'm doing heaps, but a lot of the time it's just doing one little thing at a time. So first of all, don't think that this is a project to be done over a weekend, because if you're like me, it might destroy you. And, don't feel like you have to do it now. It might not be your priority in life, which is totally fine. I'm nearly 41 years old and it took me this long to do it. So seriously, like it might be a project for next year. It might be a project for the year after. It might be a project 6 months. It doesn't matter. Like, I hope to inspire, but more than that, I just want to make you realize that you're normal and okay. And you don't have to be like some perfect influencer. Like that's not attainable and won't necessarily lead to happiness. It'll probably just lead to a lot of stress and everybody being miserable. So, and no offense, some people are like that. Some people are like, have like the perfect pristine house and their life does look like that. Some people do have that. Very, very rarely though. I have not met anyone whose life is like that, who is actually not really kind of, oh, no, all right, maybe one person, and I don't even really know them that well. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Say you don't wanna be with me, but you miss me as soon as it's over. Your name lighting up the screen, but you never call when you're sober. You say you don't like the games, but you play me like there's no tomorrow. You should know that I'm fed up with your lies, so don't come closer. You know you hurt me bad and now you have scars. I need some time to heal, so don't come over. Don't even bother calling, just get lost. I'm fine on my own, so don't even bother to come back, 'cause I am done. I'm fine on my own, and
But one of the things that I really want to do is I really want to try and like rewire my brain, because I've realized that I kind of just go from one thing to the other and leave sort of just this huge mess behind me as I go. And I think like not only is that bad, like kind of creates a messy home, I think it's maybe like bad karma in general in life. So I heard this, it was actually just this like AI YouTube video, which I don't usually watch, but I don't know, it interested me. So I clicked on it, and it was sort of these 10 Japanese habits for like a tidy home or whatever. And one of them was to not consider the task complete until you've like put everything away. So like if you start and you put the home back to its original kind of state. So say like if you start a project, you, I don't know, start doing some coloring or something, mindful coloring, let's say, and you know, you get to, you finish, it's over. Instead of just leaving a mess behind you, you actually put stuff away. So and then the task is considered complete. Or maybe even a better explanation, I suppose, is say if you bring home like a new toy for the kids, you open the packaging, instead of just like leaving the packaging on the counter or whatever, you actually like throw the packaging away. And not only that, you make sure that you've got a space for the toy. And this might seem really obvious to some of you, and it's like I've always known, or not always, but I suppose I know mentally in my mind these principles, but actually putting them into practice is a whole nother thing. And also just knowing something in your mind doesn't necessarily translate to like knowing it in your soul and your heart and having a deeper understanding of it and why. So I feel like now that I'm in a place where I'm more comfortable with decluttering, I can also take on this second Japanese concept or idea of, and I know you guys have mentioned this to me before, quite a lot of you guys have mentioned this to me before, is the 1 in, 1 out rule. And that always used to really stress me out. Like I'd always sort of have this push against that idea. But I feel now, with being more comfortable with throwing things away, I'm actually excited for it. And I was doing it today. So I just bought my little girl a new 3 little Bluey puzzles, because she likes Bluey and she likes puzzles, so it's perfect. And I've got this drawer with like all these random puzzle pieces in it, and some of them are missing, some of the puzzle boards are gone, but I just, for some reason, I just couldn't throw it away. And the puzzles were really cheap. They're like $2 each. Like it's not, you know, we're not talking about like $100 beautiful puzzles here. They're just, you know, cheapo puzzles. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can just chuck that whole drawer of puzzle pieces away that I keep finding puzzle pieces, because sometimes the kids will come in and like pull them out and I find them over the floor and it's just another thing to pick up, blah, blah, blah. And I can, that mental load of one day having to put these puzzles together can just be thrown away. And in its place, I can put these 3 nice new Bluey puzzles. And that excites me. Is that lame? Am I silly for that exciting me? I feel like I've maybe turned a corner. Maybe. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, you guys. So I'm just going to have a little sip of my wine. I decided that I couldn't fit everything in the fridge. I just got home from doing some shopping, and there's a bottle of wine sitting there with just a bit left. And I'm like, I could take on the challenge. I could take the burden on of finishing the bottle of wine and disposing of it. So good for me. I've taken that challenge on. So those are my 2, I suppose, habits that I'm going to try and retrain my brain or my mind to do. And I'm not perfect at it yet, I got to say. Like with the kids' toys, I actually just bought some home and, you know, opened them and put some batteries in them. And I got rid of the packaging. I did all that, but I left the screwdriver out. And my oldest son noticed. He's like, you left a screwdriver here. And I was like, dang, I was so close. But it's, you know what? It's really hard as well with little kids, because you're constantly being interrupted by little people, little humans that need things and want your attention, which is fine. I love it. I would not have it any other way. But yeah, that's just a reality of the situation. So I'm hoping I'll be able to do this. I just so badly want to have my house all decluttered, like I have my clothes. Like it feels so good now having these clothes gone and having my bedroom space just more tidy and decluttered. I got rid of everything under the bed in, I think it was the last video that I did, which felt really good. If you've not decluttered under your bed, go for it. Love it. I don't know, a lot of you guys reckon that I should store like winter clothes and stuff under there in boxes. Maybe I'll do that. Tasmania is a weird place. We kind of go through like 4 different seasons in a day. So you sort of sometimes need your winter clothes in summer, and sometimes when you need your summer clothes, yada yada yada. So I don't know, we don't change seasons as nicely as a lot of beautiful places in the States do. I wish we did. I really love like the different seasons, and I mean, we have that here. Like right now it's beautiful. It's autumn here. We're coming into winter, which I love. It's my favorite season. We've had a few really cold days, and I just love cold, rainy days where you don't have to be anywhere and you can make some nice food and watch a show. Well, I can't really watch a show because I've got the little kids, but you know what I mean? You can be cozy at home. It's really nice. And my older son was sick and it was raining and the cat was laying on him and he was just like in heaven. That's often what he says in the morning. He's like, I don't want to get up because it's too cozy and the cat's laying on me. Totally fair enough. Like, who wants to? Seriously, who wants to? I just have to have another little sip of my burdensome wine. But something did cross my mind, and I feel like I've spoken on this before, but I'm going to speak on it again because I've really just started getting back into cooking. I don't know if it's the cold weather that got back into it, but I started watching a YouTube channel, and I'll look it up right now. Yeah. They cut the power on me today, all day, because they were fixing the power lines, and it's disrupted my internet. But I'm going to try and find this. Oh, I've forgotten how to work YouTube. Anyway, I'll keep talking and I'll go back to it. It's like Life by Mike. I'll put it in the comments. I'll link his channel in the comments. But basically he's a dad. He's got, I think, 2 kids and just does a lot of cooking at home. It's very relaxed and casual. And he also grows his own food in his garden, which I did for a little while. I did okay. Like, I was really hard on myself. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I kill everything. But no, I got some lettuce and some carrots, and I've got a few passion fruits still out there. But just with the little kids, it's been real tricky to get into gardening. And everyone's like, oh, why don't you just take them down to the garden? And I had this idea and I did that. And then I looked down at my hand when I started to garden, and about half an inch away from my hand was a funnel web spider. And if you don't know what they are deadly spiders here in Australia. And they're not what you want to run into. I also wasn't wearing gloves, so that was silly too. So lesson learned. So that just made me, I don't know, gave me the ick, maybe a little bit nervous to garden with the kids. But I'm getting back into it now. Even though we're coming into winter, we can garden some winter crops here. So I think I just really felt inspired to do that. And so often I feel like it's like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I putting all this effort in? And it actually makes me happy, even though it's hard work and gardening can be kind of expensive. I don't know, it fills some void in my soul, I feel, gardening and cooking from scratch. And also it's healthier. Like you know what's in it. There's not as much sugar. You can put less sugar in it. You can put less salt in it because we're gluten-free. It's sort of, you can make the recipes that you want gluten-free. And at the end of the day, my kids don't eat anything anyway. Anything that I buy or nothing that I make. So, I might as well make it. I don't know. I feel like it's good for the soul. And I think it's good for your health. But if you can't do it, if you don't have time, if it's too much, I feel like we all go through stages in life. And I've been through a stage recently where I've gone like, nah, you know what? I'm just buying everything. And I feel like as a millennial, our parents kind of did that. Like everything came from a packet. And we're sort of coming back into this phase where we are beginning to rediscover home cooking and gardening and all that kind of stuff, which is nice. I really like it. Do you guys have like a favorite meal that you love to cook from home or a recipe you want to share? Put it in the comments. I would love to give it a go. And hey, maybe I'll cook it. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe like shoot a recipe down below and I'll cook it and film it, because I used to do cooking at the end of these videos. I don't know why I stopped. I think you guys weren't super interested, but maybe I'll do it again for those who are. Just at the end of my videos, do like a little recipe. I'm not too bad as a cook. I burn a lot, but that's on purpose. I actually like things like super crispy. I think it might be an English thing. I don't know. My parents do the same. But yeah, I think as well, this whole concept of, you know, cooking from scratch and stuff, it really got me thinking about how when mothering and mothers, and I could say this for fathers as well, I don't want to be sexist, when they're not appreciated enough, people decline, health declines, like society kind of goes backwards. And I feel like that's what's happened recently. I feel like, and I absolutely 100% think that women, if they want to work, you should be able to work. There should be free childcare options available, all of that. But I also think that if women want to stay home and raise their kids, that should also be seen as a good thing, and that should be supported by, you know, by the government, by whatever. And I'm watching, just so you know, I think it's Mile Higher podcast on my computer. So shout out to them. I love them. I always watch them, listen to them when I'm cleaning. If you like sort of unexplained, strange things, a little bit of true crime, Mile Higher podcast is awesome. So hopefully, check them out. They're great. I see this happening so often in society where, you know, it's like mothering, home cooking, being a homemaker, all that stuff is almost seen as something, as like just some add-on that it just happens. Like the kitchen magically cleans itself, kids magically, you know, become parented and become well-mannered and good people. Like food magically cooks itself. It's like we've forgotten that all these things take time. All these things are work and a job, and keeping a house up is work and a job, and keeping the heart of the home beating in a positive way is work. It's not something that just magically happens. And I just feel like society these days doesn't appreciate that. And in Australia at the moment, there's, you know, a lot of push to, you know, more childcare places and free childcare. And as I said, like, I totally am for that. But at the same time, there also should be a push, I think, towards supporting mothers or fathers being at home, and the importance of that world and that concept of being a stay-at-home parent, or, you know, a part-time working, or whatever you want to call it, a part-time working parent. I just feel like we need to make sure that that's being supported. And daycare isn't right for every family or every child. It really isn't. Like, some kids love it and they thrive there, and other kids really, it's not for them. They really hate it. And also it depends on the childcare center. And I think if we try to, you know, pump out more childcare centers and, you know, the government gives them more money, it sort of becomes, and no offense at all, like, I know some wonderful childcare centers and I'm not putting them down at all, but, you know, it becomes less about the kids' well-being and the staff, the educators' well-being, and becomes about profit. And that becomes a problem when you're dealing with kids and parents and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really, really lucky. I found a really good childcare for my kids to go to a couple of days a week, and it's just small and community-based, and it's not a drop and run place at all. And I'm super lucky for that. It's not funded by the government though, so that sucks because it's pretty expensive. But my son, my middle son, we did try sending him to another daycare, and he hated it. He just did not want to go. There was one point where he was just so adamant. One day I was trying to get to a filming job, and he was so adamant that he wasn't going, that he was like strangling me in the car on the way there. Like, it was intense. He just refused to go. We could not get him in the door. And at that point I was like, this is not the place for him. He cannot be here anymore. There's obviously something that's just not right for him. And there's other kids I saw there that were totally happy, but I think for Reno it was just too busy and too intense, and he's more of a sensitive kid when it comes to vibes and feelings and those sorts of things. So, each to their own. What works for one family doesn't work for another. What works for one kid doesn't necessarily work for another. And, we need to make sure that time at home, that nurturing time at home is really supported. And again, like I used to live in Finland, and no, it's not perfect there, but kids don't start school till like 7. And to be honest, I didn't know any, when I was living there, I didn't know any parents. Or I did, but the kids were a lot older. I didn't know anyone who was actively in that. I just wasn't in that scene. I was in a very different scene. So I don't know how well mothers are supported there in terms of, I know when babies are born, they're very well supported. I know childcare is good there. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. But it appears to me that those things, home cooking, gardening, outdoor, being a mother, all those things are really well respected and appreciated. And I just hope that society can hold on to that, because I feel like when we don't, we do go backwards. And I think in so many ways, we are going backwards a bit in society, definitely in terms of our health and our longevity. Like people today are living shorter lives than the previous generation, which is unheard of, and probably unhealthier lives. We're more anxious. And again, I don't know if this stuff has anything to do with, home life, but I just know that trying to work, two parents or one parent, whatever, but all parents trying to work full-time or even part-time while raising children is so stressful, and maybe not for everyone. Like I know that there's some people who love it and they're able to do it just fine. It's not a problem, but a lot of people really, really struggle to a point where it affects their kids, it affects their marriage, it affects themselves. I don't know. I've always been someone who's tried to do it all. I'm like, yeah, I can like make loads of money and raise my kids and study and all this stuff, and I'm just about to go back to school, so that's probably why that's on my mind. But I really got burned out and I got really physically ill from doing that. It's not sustainable long term. For some people, it's probably not sustainable short term. For most of us, it's not sustainable long term. So just because society demands something of you doesn't mean you're necessarily able to do it. And I think that's one of the big problems we've got at the moment, especially in Australia, where the cost of living is just insane. And, a lot of people don't live in cities anymore. They live kind of far out. So driving to work takes a long time. There's not necessarily great public transport, especially where I live. That's for sure. So if you've been watching this video, you've noticed that I've stopped decluttering my clothes because I finished and I've started cleaning the hallway, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was editing this and I was watching it back, I was like, dang, that hallway is really bad and needs some love. So I decided to get into it and just sort of fix up my coat rack and make the hallway look nicer. And the hallway, like you see it when you walk straight in the door. And yes, I know to the left there, the kitchen is still a mess, but you know what? The hallway's clean now, so yay. And you know what? That little kitchen area is nice right now as we're speaking. So, we got there in the end. But hey, if you've come this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I so appreciate you guys' support. I am not a super wealthy person by any means, and I'm really trying to give my kids everything they need and not go to a 9-to-5. So you guys simply watching this video allows me to do that. And I really want to build this channel where I'm able to give back more and give back to some charities if possible. That would be awesome. So yeah, if you appreciate anything that I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a comment. I love getting comments from you guys. I read them all. Sometimes I forget. Often I don't reply because I'll like read it, click on it, and then it like disappears, and I don't know how to kind of get back to it because I don't know, kind of silly. But I do read them all, and I really apologize if I've not gotten back to your comment. It really irks me when I don't, because I just want to reply to everyone, and sometimes I just literally don't have time. because I like to, whenever I reply, I like to kind of think about my reply. I just don't like to like shoot something out. So I don't know. My friends have this issue with me as well. It takes me a long time to reply, or sometimes I forget. So don't think that that you are unique there. You haven't got a reply from me. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate any less. But here we go. The before. Oh my God, it looks so bad. There's so much stuff everywhere. Ah. Piles of things, piles of things. And now, oh, so much better. There's a little bit of stuff in that corner. But dang, a lot better. Oh, especially this area. And just so you know, the bed isn't made because it's actually better to keep your bed sheets, your doona down, just because it's better for germs and dust mites and all that kind of stuff. They go before and after of the hallway. Yes, we got there. Life is short. Life is now. Thank you guys. Love you. I will see you in the next one.